And a pleasant good Thursday morning to you, folks. It's time to take a look at the numbers from the Chicago Board of Trade in the overnight trade, as we do each and every morning with our good friend from Premier Cooperative, Premier Doug Kropp. Doug, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Gail.
Well, kind of a mixed markets. We're kind of quietly waiting for a couple of reports today. I guess, is a report day. Export numbers, sales comes out at 7:30, and then the USDA and the quarterly stocks report and the WYXY report comes out 11 o'clock, right?
That is correct. And so report day, looking at that, the export sales report, I think is going to be pretty much routine, although they'll be looking to see who the players are in that on that report, as we're trying to continue to increase our business with other countries besides just China. So we'll see what shows up there. There's a few sales of unknown that need to be determined, I guess. And then the big numbers, I guess, will be more at 11 o'clock when we take a look at both the U.S. and some of the world stocks numbers. And looking at a couple of things to look at there will be, do they adjust the ethanol usage down, I guess, a little bit more, even though we've had some positive news there. And also what do we end up with the carryout for this, both the crop growing and also the old crop. And so those two things we watch closely. We'll see where they come out with estimates and go from there, I guess.
Also, part of this report, they had promised that in this USDA report they would refigure the survey of North Dakota that had last report had an awful lot of crops still in the field. So they were going to resurvey that, and that should change very, very, very marginally. But it looks like a lot of guys talking about decreasing exports and decreasing ethanol use, which is going to probably add back to that the end run, if you will, and that's the carryout is the big elephant in the room right now, it appears.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at corn in particular, we look at a couple of things that could have definitely reduced our demand, and you go look at where we're going to be from one year to the next, going from carryout this year of about 2.1 billion bushel of corn up to well over 3 possibility this next year, and then soybeans not so daunting, but still big supplies, looking at about 550 to 580 million this year, and then next year going to about 400 million bushel carryout on soybeans. So soybeans not quite as big of a situation, but still a big supply, and corn, just tremendous amount of supply available. That's why we need to continue to look for additional demand.
Well, Doug, there's kind of a head scratcher in the Wire news. After the close yesterday through the overnight, a little bit of a buzz around about Tyson Foods, and they said that they were going to cooperate with the USDA or the Department of Justice on the price fixing investigation in the poultry industry during this pandemic. Interestingly enough, and this is what I found interesting, that if they're going to cooperate, they also will protect themselves from criminal prosecution. What?
Yeah, definitely an interesting story. We started out the week with Pilgrim's Pride executives being indicted along with some other poultry executives and other companies in this investigation. And surprise, surprise, Tyson Foods, the largest one of them all, comes out and says, hey, we're cooperating, we're doing everything, which, makes sense on their part, because it's obvious when they look at some of the information there and as things come out that they were involved in some point, but they're helping. They said they made corrections as soon as they became aware of those. And so it's definitely an interesting headline here with this poultry industry.
Yeah, it's. I just found that very interesting that they come out and after Pilgrim's Pride group was basically criminal fines and jail time could very well be possible, that Tyson Food comes along and says, "Hey, we're going to help you. That way you can't prosecute us, right?" I know that don't seem
right.
just doesn't seem fair to me. But report day, export numbers comes at 7:30. 11 o'clock is the USDA and the WYXY report. And I guess really the only other thing that will move anything off of dead center is the managed money positions, which I guess they're upwards of 300,000 contracts short now on the soybean side, which is getting close to the record. But then weather, and see if the favorable weather, if it then goes away and it starts getting really dry, that'll be another thing that traders should be supportive to the market in long term.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some positive numbers on the reports today, or at least if it's negative, I think it'll be in the market already, and we'll see a bounce back from that, and kind of watch to see what the weather does and where we go from here.
Doug, let's go ahead and take a look at those numbers from the Chicago Board of Trade here on this Thursday morning. Doug?
All right, we have July corn unchanged at 326 and a quarter. December corn is down 0.75% at 340 and 3/4. New crop 21 December is down 0.25% at 372 and 3/4. Soybeans July down 2 3/4, 862 and 3/4. The November beans are down 3 1/4 cents at 873 and 3/4. In the wheat, we have July wheat down 3 1/2 at 502 and 3/4, and December wheat is down 2 3/4 at 518 even.
Doug Crop from Premier Cooperative with us each morning, looking at the overnight markets, and Doug can be reached at the corporate number at 217-355-3369. That's 355-3369, and their website, premiercooperative.net. Hey, Premier Doug, have a Premier Thursday.
Thank you, I will, and you do the same.